Imagine this. You're the person everyone turns to, the one who never says no, who always smiles, who sacrifices your own needs to keep others happy. You've been told your kindness is your greatest strength, a badge of honor. But deep down, there's a quiet voice whispering, enough. You push it away, because good people don't think like that, right? What if that voice isn't your enemy, but your salvation? Today we're diving into the revolutionary wisdom of Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, who dared to ask, what does it really mean to be good? His answer is unsettling, profound, and life-changing. Jung discovered that the pursuit of perfect kindness, endless giving, no boundaries, no anger, doesn't make you a saint. It makes you a prisoner. In this journey, we'll uncover why your kindness might be breaking you, how embracing your dark side can set you free, and how to transform your goodness into a power that doesn't drain you but lifts you up. This isn't just a video, it's an invitation to rethink everything you've been taught about love, sacrifice, and authenticity. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll see kindness in a way you never have before. Let's begin. In our modern world, we've crafted an image of goodness that feels noble but is deeply flawed. Picture the good person, always available, never angry, endlessly forgiving, putting others first no matter the cost. This archetype is celebrated in stories, religions, and social media posts. But Carl Jung, after decades of studying the human psyche, saw through this facade. In his work with patients, he noticed a pattern. Those who clung to this idealized goodness were often the most broken. As a psychologist, I've seen this in my practice. Take Sarah, a 35-year-old teacher who came to me exhausted and resentful. She was the rock for her family, friends, and students, always there, never complaining. But inside, she was crumbling. I feel like I'm disappearing, she said. Sarah's story echoes what Jung described in the early 20th century. When kindness becomes self-sacrifice, it turns against us. Jung argued that this version of goodness isn't just misguided, it's dangerous. Why? Because it demands we deny essential parts of ourselves. In his book Psychological Types, 1921, Jung wrote, "The suppression of individuality leads to a loss of vitality. When we silence our needs, anger, or desires to fit the good person mold, we don't become better, we become fragmented." Let's pause and reflect. How often have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How many times have you swallowed your frustration to keep the peace? These moments aren't just fleeting. They're bricks in a wall that separates you from your true self. Jung's insight, as highlighted in the original video, is that when we confuse kindness with self-sacrifice, we become our own executioners. This isn't hyperbole. It's a psychological truth I've witnessed time and again. Jung's concept of the shadow is central to understanding why blind kindness fails. The shadow is the part of you that society, family, or your own ideals tell you to hide. It's your anger, your selfishness, your need to be seen, your right to say no. For those who identify as kind, the shadow feels like a threat. Admitting you're angry or need space seems to unravel your entire identity. But Jung saw the shadow differently, not as an enemy, but as a vital part of your psyche. In my research on Jungian psychology, I found his shadow work to be transformative. In Ion, 1951, Jung describes the shadow as the thing a person has no wish to be. Yet, he insists it's not inherently evil, it's raw, unpolished, and powerful. Denying it is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. The harder you push, the more forcefully it resurfaces. Consider Mark, a client who prided himself on being the nice guy. He never argued, always helped, and avoided conflict at all costs. But in therapy, He admitted to passive-aggressive outbursts, snarky comments, silent resentment that confused him. "I'm not supposed to be like this," he said. Mark's story illustrates what the video calls repressed energy that twists and mutates. When we deny our shadow, it doesn't vanish, it leaks out in destructive ways. The video powerfully states, the more we strive to be perfectly good, the stronger our shadow becomes. As a psychologist, I agree. Suppressing anger doesn't make you calm, it makes you passive-aggressive. Ignoring your needs doesn't make you selfless, it makes you resentful. Jung's solution? Integration. Acknowledge the shadow, listen to it, and let it teach you. Blind kindness, giving without boundaries, has a steep price. The video describes it as emotional exhaustion, unbalanced relationships, and a half-lived life. In my practice, I've seen this manifest as burnout, depression, and a profound sense of loneliness. Clients like Sarah and Mark didn't just lose energy, they lost themselves. Let's break this down. Psychologically, excessive kindness often stems from early conditioning. As the video notes, maybe you were the child who had to be the good one to keep peace in the family. This resonates deeply. In my work, I found that many kind people grew up in environments where their worth was tied to pleasing others. They learned to equate love with sacrifice, creating what Jung called a persona, a mask worn to meet external expectations. But the persona comes at a cost. In The Archetypes and the Collective Unconscious, 1959, Jung warns that over-identifying with the persona leads to a loss of soul. You become a caricature of goodness, disconnected from your deeper self. The video captures this as a unique kind of loneliness, being surrounded by people who know your kindness but not your heart. This loneliness is compounded by a lack of reciprocity. Kind people often attract those who take without giving back. In my research, I've explored this through the lens of attachment theory, which suggests that people with anxious or avoidant attachment styles may gravitate toward codependent dynamics. The kind person becomes the giver, while others become takers, reinforcing a cycle of depletion. Jung saw boundaries as essential to psychological health. The video emphasizes, boundaries are not walls that divide us from others, they are sacred lines that define where we end and where others begin. This is a profound shift in perspective. For many, setting boundaries feels selfish, but Jung argued it's an act of self-respect. In my practice, I teach clients to view boundaries as a form of self-care. Take Emily, a nurse who felt guilty saying no to extra shifts. Through therapy, she learned that boundaries weren't about rejecting others, they were about honoring her own limits. This shift transformed her relationships, making them more mutual and fulfilling. Psychologically, boundaries regulate emotional energy. Without them, you risk what I call empathic overload, absorbing others' emotions until you're drained. Jung's concept of individuation, the process of becoming a whole, authentic self, requires boundaries to protect your inner world. As the video states, reciprocity in relationships is not a luxury, it is a psychological necessity. Jung's idea of transformation is alchemical, a merging of light and shadow to create something new. The video describes this as a new kind of power born from conscious integration. As a Jungian researcher, I see this as the heart of his philosophy. Integration doesn't mean becoming perfect, it means becoming whole. In my work, I've guided clients through this process using Jung's active imagination technique, where they dialogue with their shadow. One client, Lisa, visualized her anger as a fierce warrior. By engaging with this archetype, she discovered it wasn't destructive, it was protective, urging her to set boundaries. This is what the video means by a dark garden, where we find not just our fears but also our deepest powers. This alchemical process is ongoing. Jung wrote in the Red Book, 1915 to 1930, "The way to your own soul is through the shadow." Every resentment, every moment of guilt, is a clue to where integration is needed. As a psychologist, I encourage clients to see these emotions as teachers, not enemies. How does Jung's wisdom apply today? In a world of social media, where curated personas amplify the pressure to be good, the shadow is more relevant than ever. Online, we see influencers praised for their positivity, but behind the scenes, many struggle with burnout and inauthenticity. Jung's insights offer an antidote: authenticity over performance. In my research, I've explored how Jung's shadow work can address modern issues like workplace burnout, people-pleasing in relationships, and even societal polarization. For example, the nice guy or people-pleaser archetype is rampant in corporate cultures that reward compliance over authenticity. By integrating their shadow, individuals can reclaim their voice and power. I've also applied Jung's ideas to group dynamics. In community settings, kind individuals often take on disproportionate emotional labor. Teaching boundary-setting workshops, I've seen participants transform from doormats to empowered collaborators. This aligns with the video's call for wise kindness that knows when to give and when to withhold. To ground Jung's ideas, let's explore more case studies. Consider James, a manager who suppressed his frustration to maintain a positive workplace. His repressed anger emerged as micromanaging, alienating his team. Through shadow work, James learned to express his needs assertively, improving his leadership and relationships. Another example is Maria, a mother who felt obligated to be the perfect parent. Her resentment toward her family grew until she embraced her shadow, acknowledging her need for personal time. This shift not only restored her energy, but also modeled authenticity for her children. These stories illustrate the video's point: the more they accept their darkness, the more genuinely kind they become. As a psychologist, I've seen shadow integration lead to profound healing, proving Jung's timeless relevance. When you integrate your shadow, you don't just change yourself, you change the world around you. The video notes, when we allow ourselves to be whole, we give others implicit permission to do the same. This ripple effect is powerful. In my practice, I've seen clients inspire their families, friends, and colleagues by modeling authenticity. Jung believed that individual transformation contributes to collective healing. In Modern Man in Search of a Soul, 1933, he argues that the salvation of the world consists in the salvation of the individual soul. By embracing your shadow, you challenge societal myths about perfection, paving the way for a more authentic culture. Carl Jung's wisdom teaches us that true kindness isn't a performance, it's a power. It's not about erasing your darkness, but embracing it. It's not about giving until you're empty, but giving from a place of wholeness. The lessons are clear. Kindness without boundaries is self-destruction. Set limits to protect your energy and self-worth. The shadow is your teacher. Your anger, needs, and desires aren't flaws. They're guides to authenticity. Wholeness is freedom. Integrating light and shadow creates a life of power, compassion, and truth. Now, it's your turn. Look within and ask, what have you been denying in the name of being good? What boundaries have you avoided? This is your moment to choose authenticity over people-pleasing, power over fear, and wholeness over perfection. If this journey resonated with you, hit the like button to share this wisdom with others. Subscribe and tap the notification bell so you don't miss our deep dives into psychology, transformation, and living authentically. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Together, we can inspire a world of whole, empowered people. Let's walk this path of transformation. I'll see you in the next video.